Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Debbie Lynn, CEO of DL Models, and I want to talk to you today about addiction, in particular alcohol addiction. I want to share some of my experiences. I want to be raw and open and honest and tell you my opinions on addiction and let you know what I did, the steps I took and what worked for me to get sober. I started my journey to sobriety 6 years ago. And it was not linear. It didn't happen easily. There was different periods through that. Some where I relapsed really badly at the beginning. Then I would have long periods of time being sober and then have a couple of drinks sometimes. And then I felt when I was drinking, I just wasn't getting the same enjoyment out of it anymore. Eventually, I realized that drinking at all for me is just not enjoyable anymore. So what's the point? So I've been completely sober now for I'm not sure exactly how long, but a couple of years. Yeah. So I want to take you all the way back, first of all, to when I started drinking. Was around age 13, and it was really commonplace then between myself and my friends. That's what we did. That's all we did really was meet up together, go out, get massive bottles of cider, and we used to pass them around and get drunk. That was the objective, was to get drunk. Now, don't get me wrong. Those are some of my best memories. I didn't enjoy spending time at home. I was someone who enjoyed to be out of my house and be with my friends, and we had some of the best times, and I don't regret them because, like I said, they're some of my best memories. How we survived, the things that we used to get up to, I have no idea, but we did. And what I think happened was we used it as an escape. It was one of the first things that I learned was something that would help me to escape from my real life. I was a very unhappy person. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. I didn't feel like I fitted in at school. I always felt different, and that was amplified by my family telling me all the time that I was different. There was something wrong with me, that I wasn't normal. And it was because I had ADHD. I know that now. Obviously, at the time, I didn't know that. I just thought I must be weird. There's something wrong with me. And I believed those things that were repeatedly told to me by many people. And so alcohol, I quickly discovered, was a fantastic way to not worry about those things anymore. And it was a way for me to fit in because my group of friends that's what they were doing. They were all drinking and smoking, started smoking as well. So I could fit in with people. And I loved it. And then as I got to be an older teenager, I moved out of home at 15, got my first bedsit, and started working full-time straight from school. I didn't go to college at that time. I went straight into work. I was working in a hairdresser's at the time, and I moved out of home. And this led to more drinking because there was no times where I had to not drink because there was no parents around anymore. So that's when I started drinking quite heavily and taking drugs as well. So this was a pattern that went on through my whole teenage life. It was fun. It was really fun. We used to go out and we used to drink and we used to take things. And that's just what myself and my group of friends used to do for fun. And like I said before, again, some of the best years of my life, some great memories, but there comes a time in your life as you mature and get older and you want to settle down and you want to have a family, and then we're expected to stop with all the heavy drinking, binge drinking, and the drug taking and partying, and we've got to settle down, haven't we? We've got to start being a good role model for children when we have our children. And that was a bit tricky for me because I had developed a psychological dependency with alcohol. Whenever things got tough, I wasn't drinking every day of my life, but when I had periods of time when things were really tough, it was the first thing that I would think of to do, was to get drunk. I wanted to immediately escape. What I understand now is with my ADHD comes emotional dysregulation. I've also got BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, which also causes emotional dysregulation. I've never been taught, how to regulate my emotions, and I've never been accepted for having these big emotions. So what I learned to do was hide them, tuck them away. And the best escape from that, and the best way to do that, was through drinking. And so that's something that's been prevalent in my life from a young age. I had my first child when I was 23. Before I had my first child, I lost a baby, a little boy, and his name was Joshy. That was a very difficult time for me. Obviously, hadn't drank whilst I was pregnant, but as soon as I lost the baby, that was me straight in the pub drinking whiskey. That was my answer. That was the thing that made me feel better, and helped me get through tough times. Then I had my eldest boy, Jamie, and that was fantastic. And I moved in with his dad. We bought a house together, and I thought that we were going to live happily ever after. But that wasn't to be. Once Jamie was born, me and his dad split up very quickly afterwards, and I had to move out of the home that we'd bought together. We had to sell the house, and I became a single mum and had to stop working, move back to Southport because we'd bought a house in Preston, move back to Southport, my hometown, and rent a house as a single mum and go on benefits. So again, this was a difficult time. And again, I was relying on alcohol, but it was sort of patchy. So it would be difficult times I'd drink more, other times I wouldn't drink. And that's how it was for years and years and years. Then when I got to be, but then when I was around 30, I met my husband. By that time I had 3 children to 3 different people. So I'd gone on to have 2 more children and 2 more not very good relationships. Oh, hold on a sec. Sorry about that. Ice cream van came past. So yeah, I'd gone on to have 2 more children to 2 more people. Those relationships hadn't worked out either. They were very unhealthy relationships, always struggled with relationships all my life. Then I met my husband-to-be when I was 30. Again, very abusive, very controlling, very toxic relationship. But of course, I decided that I was going to get married to this guy. And we were together for 7 years, and it was hell. It was absolutely awful. And during that time, I found solace in alcohol again. I was drinking I'd started drinking more than I'd ever drank before, and more frequently than I'd ever done before. And what I wanted to focus on today was this silent epidemic that is happening for women. And I know this because a lot of people have confided in me. Women in particular, and mothers, have an expectation on them that they need to be strong. They need to be always putting their kids first, which as a mother you should do, but as a father you should do as well. But as a mother, I feel there's an unfair amount of pressure to be perfect. And because of that, so much shame comes around when you've got any issues. If you're suffering with your mental health, or if you're struggling with your alcohol intake, a lot of women suffer in silence. They're drinking to escape from the realities of life, from the constant burden that they carry around, remembering all the kids' appointments and what to pack them for lunch every day and getting the uniforms ready and all the things that typically women are responsible for. It's overwhelming. And a lot of women start off in the evening just having a couple of glasses of wine. And they think now that's fine, that's normal, that's what people do. But that can snowball, and it can happen to absolutely anyone. And it happened to me because I was in this bad relationship, and I started drinking couple of glasses of wine in the evening, and this soon snowballed. Soon I was drinking a whole bottle of wine every night. And then what would happen when I was drunk was my husband would take the mickey out of me. He used to be really nasty towards me, call me names, tell me I was useless. Look at the state of you. You're disgusting. You stink of alcohol. Call me fat, all sorts of things. He used to video me if I pass out on the couch. He used to draw on my face. He used to call me a pig because I used to snore. He used to call me a pig or Miss Piggy. So much shame. He put so much shame on me around it. But then what he also used to do was when I'd finished the first bottle of wine, he used to go to the shop and buy me more wine. So I'd get more drunk. At my worst, I was drinking up to 3 bottles of wine every single night. And then in the day, I was still functioning. I was like a functioning addict. I was still functioning, and I would still be doing the things I needed to do in the house, doing the things I needed to do for the kids, even though I felt absolutely horrendous. I felt so ill all the time, so thirsty all the time. I couldn't admit it to anyone because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And every day I would think, tomorrow, I'm not going to drink. And then the next day would come, something would go wrong in the day somewhere. And I'd think, right, well, I have to drink now. I need to drink now. I wasn't going to drink, but now I need to. And then that would be my excuse. And I would go and get a bottle of wine from the shop. And the kids, when I used to pick them up from school, we'd go straight to the shop and get mummy's bottle of wine. And then I would start drinking once I got home from getting the kids from school. I start drinking then. Drinking while I was cooking the tea, and then sitting down afterwards and drinking until I passed out. And then, like I say, my husband used to be really abusive towards me because of the drinking, but then used to also encourage me to drink. So that's very, very manipulative, isn't it? And very controlling. I didn't see what he was doing at that time. I just hated myself. I just blamed myself and hated myself. And I had so much guilt and so much shame around it, but I just couldn't stop. I could not stop drinking. And it really was affecting my mental health. My mental health was absolutely awful. I was so depressed. I hated my body. I hated myself. I had no self-confidence, no self-esteem, nothing. I thought I deserved everything that was coming my way. And it was one day my husband came after my eldest son. He is the most placid, lovely boy you could ever hope to meet. He's not argumentative. He's not confrontational at all. He will walk away. And he was trying to walk away from an argument that my husband was picking on him and trying to start. My husband followed him and wouldn't leave him alone and kept going on and on at him. And eventually he picked my son up and threw him across the room. Now, my husband had been violent to me lots of times, and the kids were scared of him. But this was, for me, this was my final straw. And that's when I decided to leave. And so I did leave. Well, I tucked him out. I asked him to leave. And I was proud of myself for making that decision. And the kids were relieved that I'd made him go. But then I was on my own with 4 children by that time, because me and my husband had a baby. Forgot to tell you that bit. Me and my husband had also had a baby, so I had 4 children now. So I was a single mum again, now with 4 children, an alcohol problem, and really shitty mental health. So it wasn't a good mixture. My husband had been so controlling that I'd lost all my confidence in my ability to parent. He would repeatedly tell me what crap mum I was. I wasn't strict enough. My children have got ADHD, autism, things like that. So they had behavioural difficulties. I was told repeatedly it was down to myself. It was down to the way I was disciplining them. I didn't have any help. I was just constantly criticised as a mother. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to parent my kids. And then when he left, I was completely on my own, and I still didn't know what to do with them. And so I just let them run riot, and they stopped going to school. My drinking got worse. And eventually I had a mental breakdown, full-on mental breakdown. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I did try to unalive myself twice. Luckily, that didn't work. And I'm still here, obviously. And I realised when I was still here in the hospital that because of what I'd done, I'd lost my kids. I'd lost custody of my kids. Then I'd lost my house. I lost everything. I lost absolutely everything. I was talk about rock bottom. I was there. 100% I was there. And it took that for me to be able to turn things around. I thought to myself when I was in the hospital, there must be a reason why I'm still here. There's a reason God has given me another chance. I must have a purpose on this earth still. I just need to find what it is. So I started thinking about what I needed to do to make changes. And I needed to completely change my life. 100%. I needed to change everything in my life, starting by making myself happy. Now, I want to tell you about my beliefs on addiction. Addiction to alcohol can be a physical addiction. You can be physically addicted to alcohol, which means if you suddenly stop drinking, very dangerous. You can die from that. So you have to do it with doctor's supervision, but it's important that you do it because your body is shutting down. And if you don't stop, you will die. So in that instance, you need to stop drinking absolutely and completely forever. That's my belief and my understanding of the medical situation. You need to slowly reduce the alcohol with the doctor's supervision, then eventually completely come off the alcohol. However, the people I've met who have overcome addiction with alcohol, the women and the mums I've met, it's a psychological addiction. It's an escape. Either two things. There's something major missing in your life, or there's something majorly going on in your life that you're trying to escape from. And that is psychological addiction to alcohol. Lots of people say once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. If you've had an alcohol problem, you need to just stop drinking altogether. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with stopping drinking altogether. I've now decided it's just naturally occurred over the years that I've come to the conclusion I'm happier without drinking at all. But I strongly and firmly believe that when you have an alcohol addiction and all you're trying to do is not take that drink, that's all you can think about is drink, can't drink, don't stay away from drink, can't drink. All your energy, okay, is going into just trying not to take that drink. But you're not actually working on the reason why you want to take that drink. I believe that to recover from alcohol addiction, you need to find community. The opposite of addiction is community. Now, there's AA groups that you can go to. They follow a 12-step program. Nothing wrong with that. Lots of people do it. It's saved many, many lives. However, it didn't work for me. And I think it was because I struggled with the concept at the time. I'm a Christian now, but at the time I struggled with the concept of a higher power. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It seemed very religious to me. So I started going to another group set up by Dawn Gadsby. And Dawn is an amazing woman, very inspirational woman who used to be an alcoholic. And she's been in recovery for a very long time. And she set up a group called the Recovery Circle. And that was in Southport where I live. So I went along to that and it was absolutely fantastic. It was just what I needed. It wasn't religious based. It wasn't 12-step program. It was just a circle of people struggling with addiction, coming together and getting things off the chest. And that's all I needed. And when I found that sense of community and acceptance with other people who understood, who weren't judging me, I knew I was going to do it. I knew at that moment I could do it. So first thing you need is a community. You can't do it on your own. You need to find a community of people who understand what you're going through. Lots of people who have not had alcohol addiction don't understand. So you can't spend time with those people during your recovery. Second thing you need to do is address the reason why you're drinking. What's missing from your life? Is there something major missing from your life? Is it an emptiness that you're trying to fill? Are you trying to fill a void? Or are you trying to escape from something? What in your life are you trying to escape from? Once you can get to the bottom of the reasons why you're drinking, naturally, you'll want to drink less and less. Far better, as far as I'm concerned, it's far better to put all that energy into learning about yourself, learning to love yourself, getting to the root cause of why you want to drink. Why do you want to drink so much? You're harming yourself. Why do you want to escape? Why do you want to not remember day after day after day? Why do you want to forget things? Really, really get honest with yourself. And then what you need to do is you need to start creating a life that you don't want to escape from anymore. And that can look different for every single person. And the last thing is find your purpose. Every single person was put on this earth for a purpose. And until you find that purpose and you start living that purpose, you won't be happy. And purpose will give you focus, and it will give you all of a sudden, a clear path will come in front of you. You'll see it, a clear path, and you won't feel directionless anymore. And you'll want to strive towards success. You'll want to carry out that mission and that purpose and live in that purpose and that truth. And that is so fulfilling. You just less and less you'll want to drink. So don't keep focusing on can't drink, mustn't drink. What you need to focus on is those things I've just told you. Community. You need to focus on the reason why you're drinking. You need to focus on finding your purpose. You need to change your life so that there's nothing that you feel you want to escape from, or identify what is missing. Probably it's your purpose. Once you find that purpose, you won't feel that void. You won't feel that emptiness anymore. You'll feel fulfilled. You'll feel happy. Happiness, by the way, isn't excitement. Happiness is content. It's contentedness. When you stop drinking, it's not a magic wand. In fact, it's hard because you've not been used to feeling your feelings. Every time something's been difficult, you've been drinking those feelings away. So one of the first things you'll find is you won't stop crying, and you'll crave sugar. You'll crave sugar like there's no tomorrow. You'll start having sugars in your brew. You'll start having sugary sweets. You'll just want to have sugar, sugar, sugar. And that's because your body's missing the sugar from the alcohol. Let it have it. Don't try and go on a diet at the same time. Don't care about what you're putting in your body, sweet-wise and food-wise. Whilst you're in recovery, all you have to do is focus on your recovery. Eat the sweets, have the sugar, don't worry about it. And the other thing as well is your sleep will get better, but not straight away. Initially, your sleep will probably get worse, but just ride through it. You've got to just ride through it. And you'll be flooded, and I mean flooded, with emotion that you've been drinking away however long for, years in my case. I had never dealt with emotions properly from being 13 years old. So life still lifes. There's constantly going to be things thrown your way that you have to deal with, and you don't have the tools. You don't have the tools to deal with them. So you're going to need to learn to build up your confidence, and that means building up your trust in yourself. For a long time, we haven't trusted ourselves when we've been escaping into alcohol. We've had no trust in ourselves, and we've got to build that up, and it takes time, and it takes repeatedly making decisions for yourself. And once you've built up that trust in yourself and you start building up your confidence, building up your self-esteem, then you'll be in a much better place. and you'll start to learn that things will come your way, which are difficult to deal with, but you can deal with them. You can deal with them. And then your resilience will start to build up. And that's what you're going to need. That's what these other people who don't drink away their problems or their feelings, that's what they have. They've been doing it for years. They're well, practiced in it. You're not. If you're watching this, I suspect you might have an alcohol addiction, or you're questioning if you do. If you're questioning if you do, you do. Alcohol addiction doesn't have to mean that you're shaking and you need to have a drink every single day. Alcohol addiction can be a psychological addiction. And if it's affecting your life in a negative way, it needs to go. You need to work on those reasons. But don't focus on not drinking. Focus on finding a community. Focus on building a life you love that you don't want to escape from. And focus on finding your purpose. Focus all your energy on those things. Learn to love yourself, forgive yourself. You'll have done a lot of shitty things while you've been drinking. Heaven knows I have a list as long as I am tall. I've done a lot that I regret, but it's made me who I am today. But you've got to get truthful with yourself. You've got to lay down your ego, and you've got to say, you know what? I have a problem, but that's okay. I'm going to make some changes, and you will never be happier and more content than when you get to the stage where you're really not bothered if you have a drink or not. It's an amazing, amazing feeling. I can promise you that. Waking up every day with a clear head, knowing what I've done the night before, not having to clear away loads of empty bottles and try and quickly put them in the outside recycling bin before anyone sees and judges me, pretending I've drank less than I have, lying to people, lying to myself. It is exhausting. If you're exhausted, if you've had enough of your secret silent addiction to alcohol, if you're a mum and you're terrified of being judged, if you're terrified of social services finding out and taking your kids away, there's hope. We do recover. You can recover. I've been sober and I've been clean for a long time now, and it feels amazing. And I promise you, if you do these things, or if you want to go, if you're religious, you might find AA is perfect for you. At the time, I hadn't found God, and I didn't resonate there. I like the sense of community and the free coffee, but apart from that, it wasn't for me. And that's okay. I think everyone has to go and find what's going to work for them. But the things I know will work for absolutely everyone is finding a community. You can't do it alone. Everyone, as a human being, craves community. And your community that you've been hanging out with probably all focuses around drinking. When are we going out drinking? We'll meet at the pub. It's all focused on drinking. Everywhere you look, drink. It's on the soap operas. It's on, they've always got a glass of wine in the hand. It's almost impossible to get away from alcohol adverts on the TV all the time. It's thrown at us all the time. And then they wonder why mums have got this issue. But you're not on your own. I had this issue as well, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And you don't need to be ashamed of it now. All you need to do is you need to focus on the reason why you feel that you need to escape. What are you running away from? Once you fix the problem, alcohol and alcohol addiction is the symptom. It's a symptom of something deeper. In itself, it's not on its own. It comes from somewhere. Find out where it comes from, fix that, and then the alcohol problem will just go away over time. It takes time, and it takes hard work, but it's worth it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you feel a little bit less alone. If you would like to contact me privately, please do. I can recommend some groups that you can go to. Also, Dawn Gadsby has a book out. It's called Addiction Connection. It's a fantastic book, and you can read that. I can recommend some audiobooks for you as well, which really helped me during my recovery. But yeah, please do get in touch. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, follow us, and share it with a friend. Thanks a lot. See you soon.